just because a coffin was blocking his way. Tommy decided to blow up the entire river channel. He pressed the detonator button, but the next second, thousands of venomous snakes got blown into the sky. They rained down on the ferry like raindrops, and everyone was instantly surrounded by the snake swarm. Jenny tried to run away, but the snakes coiled around her kept her from moving. Just as the venomous snakes were about to attack, a stream of water shot onto her body. Grace washed the snakes to the stern with a high-pressure water gun, successfully saving everyone on board. What she didn't know, though, was that Jack was hiding in the bathroom at the stern. A flood of venomous snakes poured down from the top of the ship, scaring Jack so much that he fell into the river. He swam as hard as he could toward the shore, but the snakes were still closing in fast. Just as Jack was about to be killed by the snakes, someone stepped on the snakes and saved him. The man introduced himself as Jeff, an outdoor explorer, but Grace sensed something was off. Jeff wasn't carrying any exploration gear, so he must have had another reason for being here. Right then, though, Teddy suddenly covered his ears and collapsed to the ground in pain. Seeing this, Jeff took a knife, cut his own finger, and stuck it into Teddy's ear. After a violent twitch from Teddy, Jeff pulled out a 9-inch venomous snake. This rescue won him everyone's trust. Everyone except Grace, who stayed on guard. And as it turned out, her caution was right. Jeff was actually a poacher. The reason he'd come here was to catch the legendary man-eating python, the Scarlet Naga. Since this python loved eating humans, Jeff had sought out the group to use them all as bait to trap the python. The next day, Grace noticed Tommy was gone. Looking at Jeff, who was cutting fish to scatter as bait, she immediately had a bad feeling. As it turned out, by then, Tommy had already been made into bait by Jeff. Soon, the water surface splashed wildly. Jeff grabbed the fishing platform tight, but the Scarlet Naga was far stronger than him. The next second, Jeff fell into the river along with the fishing platform, about to be dragged deep into the jungle by the Scarlet Naga. In the nick of time, Jeff climbed onto a small boat, then held a steel fork high, on guard against a sudden attack from the Scarlet Naga. Just then, the water surface rippled strangely. Jeff attacked right away, hitting the Scarlet Naga dead on. But the next second, the Scarlet Naga suddenly coiled around Jeff and slowly dragged him down into the water. While everyone was shocked by what they saw, Jeff actually broke free and climbed back up at the stern. He looked pretty disappointed, though. He'd lost one piece of bait and had nothing to show for it. But soon, a smile returned to his face, because the Scarlet Naga had climbed onto the boat too. It spat out Tommy's body, getting ready for its next hunt. Everyone hurried to hide in the cabin, except Jeff, who was still trying to catch it. But the starving Scarlet Naga was quick on its feet, and fighting it was way too risky, so Jeff had to hide too. At that moment, everyone held their breath, terrified of making a sound that would attract the Scarlet Naga's attention. Hulk and Teddy let out a sigh of relief as they watched the giant python crawl slowly overhead. But when they looked down, the Scarlet Naga was staring right at them. The two were so scared they turned and ran, accidentally leading the python straight to Grace. Facing the python's gaping maw, she could only run. Just then, Teddy put an iron can over the snake's head, buying everyone time to escape. The group jumped into the river one after another to flee. By then, the Scarlet Naga, now blind, started crashing around the ship, completely disabling the ship's equipment. On the other side, Jeff seized the chance to tie the Scarlet Naga's head with a rope, planning to subdue it for good. But the next second, the damaged ship suddenly exploded. Jeff had to give up the capture and jump off the ship to save himself. Later, everyone regrouped on the shore. After discussing, they decided to follow Jeff, who had rich survival experience, and evacuate through the forest to a safe place. Grace didn't trust him and planned to find another way out. But looking at the injured Jenny, she had no choice but to go along. And this would become the decision everyone regretted the most. As the group went deeper into the jungle, danger crept closer quietly. Soon, another person became the Scarlet Naga's meal. No one dared to linger. As soon as dawn broke, they started cutting through the jungle, but they hadn't gone far when the Scarlet Naga caught up again. Everyone froze in fear, not daring to move until the water calmed down. Only then did they dare to keep going. But to their horror, the Scarlet Naga came back for another attack. It coiled around the last person in the group and killed them right in front of everyone. The rest could only run for their lives. When they reached the shore, they found a ship loaded with supplies there. Just as everyone thought they were out of danger, Jeff finally revealed his true intentions. He pulled out a gun and told Jack to tie up the others. It turned out that late the previous night, Jeff had made a deal with Jack. They'd use these people as bait to catch the Scarlet Naga and collect a $50 million reward. And this place was exactly the Scarlet Naga's lair. That night, Jeff went to the Scarlet Naga's lair to set traps. Teddy and Hulk were used as bait, and a huge net was set up around them. the other two girls, were tied up nearby as backup bait. Before long, the bait successfully lured a giant python, but it wasn't the Scarlet Naga. Jack grabbed the trap rope ready to catch it, but when he looked up, the Scarlet Naga was staring at him intently. The trap was triggered early, which just happened to protect Teddy and Hulk. On the other side, Jack heard the commotion and rushed to the scene, but that python set its sights on him. The next second, the python bit Jeff and dragged him deep into the jungle. Grace, who'd witnessed all this, hurried to break free from her bonds and saved everyone before the python returned. But Jenny's wound had already gotten worse. Grace watched as Jenny lost her life, powerless to do anything. Later, Grace took Teddy and Hulk back to the ship loaded with supplies. But just as they were getting ready to leave, Teddy was suddenly hit by a tranquilizer dart. No one expected Jeff to be alive and back. Even that giant python had been killed by him. Back in the jungle again, Jeff tied the three of them together and set up huge nets around them. Then he strung up steel cables as a barrier trap to stop the three from escaping. To be extra safe, Jeff tied the trap rope to himself to prevent the python or the bait from breaking free. Then he waited quietly for the Scarlet Naga to appear. Before long, the traps Jeff had carefully set lured a large number of pythons, but they didn't get a chance to feed. The familiar giant python showed up again, and it was the Scarlet Naga. Just then, Jeff timed it right and triggered the trap, trapping the Scarlet Naga at once. But the python was so strong that Jeff lost control instantly. Soon the Scarlet Naga broke free from the net, but the net was still tangled around it. Jeff refused to let go, so he was dragged by the Scarlet Naga and wedged between two trees. The next second, Jeff's ribs were crushed. He screamed in pain and let go of the rope. The now free Scarlet Naga climbed up a tree, ready to launch a fatal attack on Jeff at any moment. Just then, Jeff finally broke free, but before he could escape, the Scarlet Naga coiled around him tightly. This top snake hunter, who'd been catching snakes for 20 years, finally became the python's prey. At the same time, Hulk was biting the rope frantically. If they didn't escape right away, they'd be eaten too soon. The second Hulk bit through the rope, the Scarlet Naga had already finished feeding. The three hurried to hide, but the Scarlet Naga still found them. It spat out the Jeff it had just swallowed, getting ready to chase the remaining three. Teddy saw the Scarlet Naga was about to catch up, so he grabbed a tree stump and rammed it into the snake's mouth. Grace, standing beside him, used a wooden plank to stab the snake in the eye. Their brave acts bought them time to run. Just as they were about to escape the jungle, the Scarlet Naga caught up again. It opened its huge mouth, trying to swallow all three of them at once. But the next second, the sharp steel cable sliced off half of its head. This man-eating python was finally killed by humans. In the end, the three took a small boat and set off on their way home. But in a corner no one knew about, a python even bigger than the Scarlet Naga was about to step out of the jungle. Thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to this channel. Thanks you.